episode 510 of the TV Dudes, recorded October 25th, 2024. Hysteria! This week, we look into the spooky, possibly satanic goings-on over at Peacock and determine if their new show, Hysteria, is harmful to our children and our society.
Yeah, look, all I'm saying is that if someone went missing and we could help the podcast by capitalizing on it, we would.
What?
Nothing, dude. Don't worry about it.
Please don't kidnap me for the benefit of the podcast.
I would never.
Okay, good.
But Satan might.
What?
What?
Anyway, I'm Les.
And I'm Nick.
And we're the TV Dudes.
Dudes.
But, you know Hysteria on Peacock isn't all we watch this week. Nick, what's in the diaries?
The Diaries of the Television Dudes. Brought to you by only the finest cocaine wine.
What is calling to us in the diaries in such a way as the Blizzard call?
If you don't know what we're talking about, you didn't watch both Lower Decks episodes that dropped.
Because that's, man, I want to lead off diaries with that, man.
We
Lower
just
Decks is
watched-
back.
We just watched the latest Lower Decks
I love
episode.
Lower Decks so much.
Love it like Rutherford loves Tendy.
I love it how much I love Talin.
Oh my god. Remarkable.
Fascinating.
I have fooled you.
The doppelganger episode, of course, is classic Trek.
Oh man,
And
watching Boimler with the full Riker
the
beard,
full Riker
step
beard.
back over a chair, like not sit down normal.
Yeah, and
It's-
of course, Mariner and gets like, man, when you run into like, oh, it's our opposite ship, but like, so I'm like, okay, when either of you, like, one of you's got to know that you're the evil one, and if you think you're not, that means the other guy,
Right.
Like,
I also love her mom though, the captain. That's like,
hey,
cool,
where
cool,
am
cool.
I?
So where am I?
I was like, man, I'm like, obviously you're dead, man. Like
That's
that's
what
why.
I kept thinking. But like, no one, like, why won't anyone say
Well,
what happened?
don't worry, you won't fuck up like our Freeman.
End up at Starbase 80.
What?
It's just her at the stinger at the end,
fate
just
worse than
drinking,
death.
just like, what the fuck could I have done?
Yeah, but having Tendi be a pirate and basically solve her shit. Ep
Pretty
1.
quick.
Like Ep 1, we solved the Tendi needs to be a pirate, like
Right.
for debt for a lower, like, and her sister's cool about it, and like, oh yeah, you paid your debt and you can go back whenever you want, and she chooses to stay for at least, and like for another episode, like not
Yeah,
a long time.
But like she could leave right now, but it would leave her crew, who she really had to bring on board to her side in order to get this done. So really, she knows that she only succeeded because she got the crew on her side, and her leaving right now would leave them screwed for helping her.
It feels like if this wasn't their last season, like if they had more, they would have stretched out the Tendi plot
Probably,
line.
but I think it's smart to resolve it quickly because it is split the party difficult. I love
Right.
Tendi, and it's hard to have her
Well,
away.
Also, like
Also,
did the same.
Rutherford is doing.
They did the same thing with Beckett when Beckett went off to be an archaeologist.
Yeah.
Like she was back within an ep. Like
Boimler was on another ship. For, yeah.
Boimler was his is the longest. Like he spent at least like 3 or 4 episodes on Riker's on the Titan,
Mm-hmm.
and like that was like the longest they ever went. And I think after, like, I'm not sure if production didn't like that, or if the writers' teams were just like, you mean we have to write a plot line for a whole separate ship? Fuck you.
No, that can't sustain on the show. Like, come on, you gotta
Because
bring them back
they're
together.
very reluctant to do. I've noticed that like they've done a similar thing with like that with a lot of the, like with Beckett and Tendi now, and they haven't lasted nearly as long as Boimler.
I think it's harder for the writers. I think it's just also harder for the audience. It's just more story to keep track of and
Right.
hope that you like. You're just rolling the dice every time you add a new character.
And it kind of doesn't. The idea of Lower Decks is supposed to be more standalone and episodic.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think it's supposed to have a
So,
long running.
I'm loving Tendi being a pirate, but I'm ready to see her get back. Well, she is now. Resolved,
she's back.
Back.
Yeah.
And I was very happy because I was glad that they. Again, though, I'm glad they stretched it to 2 and not just 1, because it would have actually made me sad to just have teased that and then backed off of it so quick.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like 2 episodes. They could have gone maybe one more. I just love the Orions. I don't want to see him go. I hope she does visit as an aunt now.
I love all the Orion tech is just on theme because like they grab spear guns like
Right.
they're
In
in fucking space.
Right. Like your weapons are you kind of rely on gravity and shit sometimes.
Well,
Like,
it's just like, oh, I'm sorry, I was just looking for a dagger. Come on, they're in every room. Like oh yeah, sorry, Starfleet brain. We
yeah.
Starfleet, we don't have daggers in every room because we have fucking phasers.
Yeah.
That just could kill people.
Right. Like
they,
any number of tech that oh my
or
God.
not. Like
When
there's
they
a whole
find the
separate
Orion
setting.
ship and they're like, it's like a medical vessel. We don't have those. Okay, well that just seems willfully insane.
So that's not right. Like that, but no, any standing military has a triage. Like
why
there's a
not?
medical
Like there's no other reason than they just don't care about you. The blue ones that look like the old cartoon.
Green Orions, blue Orions. I don't know what
It's pronounced Orion, you dipshits. Yeah. Oh man. So I'm so glad Lower Decks is back. I'm so sad it's his last season.
yeah.
And possibly my greatest segue. Speaking of tendies, I showed Lisa Dumb Money.
Okay.
We gotta have them tendies.
Mhm.
All the
Man,
stupid...
I thought you were gonna go for like a letter. I mean, did you watch Shoresy in again? Like, are you get a hot
No.
tendy or?
No, I had forgotten about all the slang from Diamond Hands and Hodel and all the stupid stonk GameStop.
Well, honestly,
stock slang.
they I think it's a point. They use all that language in there, like the slang of that exact moment in
Mhm.
time, because like I said, rewatching that movie, I'm like, it's one of the only fucking pieces of fiction that I've seen where don't listen to the old people. Young people have it
Right.
figured out. Shut up and sit down.
Right. And watching, so I remembered it being fun when we saw it in the theater, but I hadn't watched it since. And rewatching it and showing it to Lisa for the first time, where I was like, she was like, yeah, I want to watch something funny. I was like, all right, so Dumb Money it's not laugh out loud all the time. Like it's not, a slapstick comedy with John Cena or something. But I remember it being like cute in the best way. Like kind of heartwarming and fun and funny. Pete Davidson has some funny shit.
Yeah.
And like sure enough, like we laughed and had a good time and we're thinking about it the next day still. And then also one of the things she mentioned that we had also noticed in the theater, it is a time capsule of that first year of pandemic of 2020.
Yes.
The songs like Savage and like there's just some of the music in it and the isolation of it that they're all going through and in watching each person's little journey of their net worth moving around, and who cashed out and when. It like it's
that one woman.
I enjoyed this in a way that I wanted to enjoy Big Short.
Mhm.
But I guess Big Short's just on its face depressing as balls.
Well, I mean, Dumb Money is a success story of the little guy successfully sticking it to the big guy.
I do feel like they oversell, like then the last moment, like, and it will never be like it was before because now the big guy knows and I'm like, well, that's aspirational.
That feels a little pie in the sky,
right?
But
but you're right. They are paying attention to you fucks now.
But a bunch of rich people did get fucked.
Yeah, and that's just hilarious.
And that's great.
And they did it by underestimating that, like, well, these people are going to be self-serving and short-sighted, and they'll cash out. This is more money than they've ever seen. They'll cash out.
Man, talk about reflective thinking.
Right.
They think about what they would do in that situation, and like they don't understand how much these people hate them. But they'll
have to clean the streets tomorrow, Nick. Why would they let my blood run in it? That's just silly.
Well, you have to see, sir, that the enjoyment of seeing your blood is going to outweigh the maintenance costs.
I don't think you're right there. Just gonna take my bet.
Because, yeah, as much as like they're getting more money than they've ever seen, like $200,000 for like these college kids. Fucking what's his name? Cat or like
Roaring
Kitty is like like how much do we make like yesterday, like $1 million, like he's getting fucking insanely rich, but the Wall Street guys are losing
when
billions.
Seth Rogen's wife looks at him and like, how much did we lose today? $1 billion.
Ugh.
How much did we lose yesterday? $1 billion. Like, oh, the ability, it feels like an Arab Spring. Like it really does feel, it's a heartwarming, fucking amazing movie, because it does feel a little Arab Springy of oh wow, the big guys used to get away with this because there was no way for little guys to talk. And now that we can communicate online, I shit talk tech so much, but like now that we can communicate online, there's an ability to coordinate, get our shit together. Unions.
Yeah. Also, I appreciate that even when it happened at the time, I remember that like GameStop being the stock had no effect on GameStop as a company. Like that was no one cared about, like no one was going into GameStop.
All of this happening, having been in the news, Lisa was like, I remember this from the news. Are there still GameStops? It's like, yeah, there's like a dozen in the Austin area. They're open till 8, right? They're open right now. I was like, I only know that because I'm looking it up from watching this movie, but yeah. Amazingly enough, there are still GameStops. And amazingly enough, they did get themselves declared an essential business because they sell computer mice. Mouses.
That's right.
Fucking hilarious.
Awesome. Yeah, but I guess we caught up. Man, we're still watching Tulsa King. I feel like we're going to watch season 2. And then depending on how season 2 ends, it's going to be hit and miss whether we do watch a season 3.
I may not pick it up again, honestly.
It's gonna be hard. Like
it's close to hate watch.
Right now, we're fascinated.
Right.
It's just honestly, this episode had the best mob moment in it with Frank Grillo and
Stallone. And then they undid it in the next scene.
And then they undo it in the next scene. But that scene,
it was a really great scene.
Of them in like New York getting fucked out of it.
Right.
That and like the respect there, I thought was pretty cool. Also, like I'm pretty sure Bodhi is gonna fuck Sylvester Stallone's sister.
I think so.
Like that's definitely gonna happen.
I think so. I'm actually down for that romance. Yeah, it's gonna be good.
So what else we watch?
We watched, of course, Penguin. Kept up on it. That show's fucking fantastic. Continues to be amazing.
I don't have any other.
It's worth getting a free trial on Max for, I would say.
The Milioti in this latest episode is become deaf.
She's amazing.
Just
her complete takeover and then
destruction of the Falcone family.
It's just amazing. And now we really know who the sides are. Penguin versus
it's
Gigante.
Which sucks because it's called, the show's called Penguin, so
right. It ain't called Gigante.
I would love for Milioti to stay for a second season, but it's already a stacked cast show.
Right.
Colin Farrell's already too big of a get, and they're not gonna Milioti's done for this season after.
He's got to take it. There's no way to keep her around. He's got to kill her. She's got to be the end of the family.
Which is a shame because I love her.
She's amazing.
She's amazing in it.
Yeah, this show's fucking great. Lisa and I watched a couple of Hitchcock movies that I had not seen.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
One is from 1935 or so, I think, called The 39 Steps. It's been remade several times. It's a fun story. It's a guy that basically he gets picked up by a girl at a bar and is like, shit, look at my luck, and takes her home. She's a spy, and she gets stabbed in the back. Like he wakes up in the middle of the night and she's dead, and now he's roped into this fucked up conspiracy. And it's kind of fun. Only it's like mid-30s movie making, so in the middle of it, he gets paired up with a different woman because now he's on the run.
For sure.
And he's got to be paired up with a woman on the run.
Well, where's the dame?
Within 2 scenes of them, him having been basically kind of a terrible douchebag for the first half of this movie, she is suddenly in deep love with him, and he's in love with her, and they're in love, and it's
for sure.
And it feels like a whiplash tone change of are we in a shitty rom-com that I don't.
If you're not used to that, that is a distinctive feature of a 50s movie.
Yeah, this is fucking 35, I think 1935, something like that.
35?
Yeah.
Okay.
So then we watched Foreign Correspondent, which is both Hitchcock. This is 1940. It is much better. It's this guy that he's a newspaperman. People say all day, I hear you're a newspaperman. A reporter for a newspaper in the States, and gets sent overseas in 1940. Britain's not yet in the war against Germany. Germany's in Poland, and basically half of Europe is like, what the fuck? We need to go to war against that dude now.
Right.
And then there's a Universal Peace Organization treaty about how no, we don't want to get into war, non-interventionist. We don't want to get into a war with them. So we just want to negotiate with. It's Hitler. The argument of like, no, we don't want to get into a war. That is how they got it. That's how they insidiously got into the U.S. as well. Was like, no, I'm not saying we're pro-Nazi. I'm just saying I'm not pro-sending our boys.
I'm not pro-Nazi. I'm anti-war.
Yeah. And so this newspaper sent.
I'm not anti-choice. I'm pro-life.
Like, the movie opens with the newspaper editor bitching about like, no, I hate our correspondents. They just send back the party line. There's something going on in Europe. God damn it. I like this kettle's about to fucking boil. Like I know it, but our correspondents are lazy shits. And it got me thinking about our how recent is bootlicking cops.
Very. Like
because
fucking
man, 1940. This movie opens with the newspaper editor going, "Who was that fella that busted the story or broke the story about the payroll robbery?" Like, that'd be Jones, sir. He's like, yeah, didn't he punch a cop? Yes, cop was in the line of duty. Punched him while getting the story, sir. City desk wants to fire him for it. No, punching a cop sounds perfect for Europe. Send him. Yeah, and like that's like promote that man now.
I'm telling you, dude. Like up until like the 82 or some like a distinctive year where we decided to like suck cops' dicks.
I don't know.
Everyone hated cops.
Man, it's
like,
hilarious. And like they send this dude over there, and sure enough, like there's a huge conspiracy going on.
And I know you're thinking like, look, Nick, I've definitely seen like 50s and 60s movies with starring like cops. Aha. No, I'm pretty sure what you're thinking of is a detective. A private detective.
Right.
Distinctly
most of the time a private detective.
Not a cop.
The cops are usually fucking Car 54, where are you, dipshits?
Yeah.
Dragnet's about the only exception.
I forget what it was, but like the parlance was it if someone was smart enough to actually solve crimes, they would be a private detective and make actual money off of it. Smart people aren't cops. Like that's the idea. That's why Sherlock Holmes isn't
it feels like
cop.
the dig on teachers, like those who can do.
Yes, yeah.
Which I heard that growing up. It definitely undercut the teachers that were teaching me.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like those who solve do, those who can't.
Cops were the gym teachers of our society, and all of a sudden, like now they are. But I think like even in definitely like Europe hate cops more than I don't think they ever gotten to a point of where they love cops. Man, they love their cops.
They put at one point the guy keeps throughout the movie the correspondent keeps thinking that he's telling some. I think it's in this. They're blended together. He thinks he keeps telling somebody like what's going on, and they're like, "Shit, we got to put some protection on you," and like the protection ends up also being in on it, like So this guy tries to shove him in front of a car, and fully plays it like it's a great stunt for 1940. Fully plays it off like he jumps forward fast enough that the car misses him, and when he turns around after the car's passed, he goes, "Did you see that? Somebody pushed me," and without missing a beat, the guy goes, "That was me, sir." If I'd pulled you back, you'd have been hit. It was push or nothing. And he stops and like, okay. I guess that tracks.
All right.
But yeah, man doesn't even miss a bit. That was me, sir.
That was me, sir.
Yeah.
I'm here for all your pushing needs.
It of course still has a weird romance in the middle of it that just kind of comes out of nowhere and feels vaguely consensual. Maybe it's weird.
I'm gonna have to break your heart here if the weird love stories in the middle and consent issues are gonna be like a deal breaker for you.
It's all black and white movies, man.
You're gonna want to skip forward a couple decades,
maybe 5-6 decades, 8 decades.
And I'm gonna tell you the consent thing does not get better for quite a while.
Still not great.
The love stories get better.
Mike Moody and I went and saw Existenz.
Oh right.
A Cronenberg movie that is not streaming anywhere. I don't even know if you can rent it.
Man,
Jennifer Jason Leigh and Jude Law.
I think The Fly did a lot for Cronenberg to where we think a general consensus is Cronenberg is a prestige high thinking body horror guy. But no, man, he is a schlock
Yeah.
guy that somehow got like
In the
prestige
same way that,
cred.
like, I love John Carpenter, but we talk about him like of The Thing.
The Thing, John Carpenter is not always
It's
the
not
John Carpenter you're gonna
vampires John
get.
Carpenter. Yeah. Ghosts of Mars, John Carpenter.
John Carpenter, Joe Samar, yeah.
And yeah, so Existence, it came out the same year as The Matrix. If you can find it, I absolutely recommend watching it. It is gross and uncomfortable and insane, and actually both, I think, gets the fun of like virtual reality, is this still a dream kind of vibe more than most things. Like on the one hand,
that.
I do too. I mean, I do hate that. It's both of 1999 in the Sandra Bullock the Net hackers level of like, have you ever played a game? In terms of like what people would put up with in tech and what they would call things and stuff.
Sure.
But also the movie is obviously like bagging on that a little bit. Like there's a running gag of like what the games are called and how like progressively dumber the names get and like more extreme. Like every time anybody says a name of one of the game companies or one of the games, they have to spell it. Like, so that's Existence. That's with a little E and a big X and a large Z at the end. Existence. And like every time they have to say it, and they're always different.
I'm sorry, that's not a male enhancement pill. Existence.
Right. Willem Dafoe. His character's name is Gas.
Okay.
Man, if you can find it, I absolutely recommend watching it. I also watched Brothers over on.
I gotta give that
Amazon.
one a watch.
That I recommend watching as well. Peter Dinklage and Josh Brolin and Glenn Close as family, with Marissa Tomei in a really great bit part as well. Pretty funny, really, really cute, really good family. I know Brolin and Dinklage are fucking hilarious together. Whoever decided to make Brolin the stick in the mud boring brother and Dinklage is the maniac is fucking great.
Well, I mean, Brolin is definitely like, they had him play a young Tommy Lee Jones in that Men in Black thing for a reason. Like he's got that solid like turn off the emotion thing.
Well, and he's like the sweet soft brother. It's like Brolin's like Derry from Letterkenny.
Okay.
And then you got Dinklage that's like trying to scam the world, but half scamming his brother too, because his brother's not simple, but he trusts him. And like, yeah, it's fun. Also, there's a lot of running gags in it. Written by Macon Blair from Austin, which is always
Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman.
Oh man, yeah. So instead of rock paper scissors, they play Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, and just through the power of argument, Dinklage wins it every time. Like the rules clearly just keep changing. Watched a documentary called Fanatical: The Catfishing of Tegan and Sarah.
Yeah, you're telling me about this. This was nuts.
This is nuts, man. So there's a band, Tegan and Sarah, Canadian band. They've been around for a while. They kind of started around the time that MySpace and all that was happening. So they've been online for a minute, which means there's a lot about them email wise and such. Like it's probably out there if you were a fan from the start. Someone at some point managed to get into like a shared drive between their management and spoof some emails and like get some access they shouldn't have had and kept it for a minute. And so it sounds like 6 or 7 years ago, they found out that for a previous like 6 or 7 years, or about 15 years total now, someone's been pretending to be Tegan online and catfishing like a half dozen to maybe 10 fans of at various lengths, like chatting daily for 2 years. And we're generally very good at making sure to never message when Tegan should be like on stage, like things that would break the illusion.
Right. But
the band only found out about it about 6-7 years ago when somebody
that's a long time, right? Not
where like nobody really pushed it. Like I think the interaction started getting more like personal, flirty sexting.
Yeah.
And somebody finally like confronted her at a show. And it was a very like, I've never met you kind of moment. Or somebody reached out to their management and the management was like, so Tegan's never heard of you. I mean, I don't mean to be shitty, but like,
I don't mean to be a dick about it, but
like the weirdness of like how crazy things get as your band gets bigger and your celebrity gets bigger. the weird shit people will do. They were pretty sure that they've still never figured out who exactly did this. They think it's probably multiple people at this point because there at one point was an info dump of everything the Catfisher had. So multiple people could be doing this now.
Well, someone takes up the mantle, sure.
Yeah, and so it's just insane. They're not sure that the person who did it doesn't have a second persona where they befriend the victims online to catch it, like the afterglow of it a little.
That would be next level devious.
Yeah, and like there's a moment early on where I was like, so this is just Tegan, like this is just the lead singer being insane, right? And then but then it, like there's enough people that it's happening to that you can tell that, like, no, she has a management team and a band and a sister that's in the band with her, and they tour. You would notice if she'd be on her phone all the time talking to not anyone on the team. So like, who is she dating? You know,
right?
And like, it was wild. It was really wild. Also saw Smile 2. If you liked Smile, I would highly recommend going to see Smile 2. If you didn't like Smile, it's more of the same. Let's see what else. Kept up on all of my usual high potential return of Matlock, Elspeth.
Sure.
Things like that. You and I watched Bones.
Holy shit. Yeah.
So someone on my Facebook said, hot take, Bones is a great horror movie. They were wrong.
That is a wrong
false
person.
statement.
And
love what you love. I don't want to yuck your yum, but man, that was a terrible movie.
And I know art being subjective, I'm going to still say, no, objective, wrong. Like, that's just a wrong statement. Because Bones is many things, but compelling in a weird way, sure.
Sure. In a two white dudes wrote a very black movie.
Oh, wow.
Man, this makes the blackening.
The blackening, I was like, I appreciate the blackening even more now in retrospect. Like, oh, that's right. It's not like we didn't do black black cast horror movies before. They were just written by white people and very bad.
Right.
And Snoop Dogg as the main villain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
that's a great idea.
I'm not saying you can't have Snoop in your movie, but Snoop needs to be your friend and like not the main character. He's got to be the friend vampire hunter in that Jamie Foxx movie. He was pretty good in that.
Right.
Because he does not have the juice to play this evil dude.
No, he's too friendly when he comes in. He just doesn't look menacing enough. He's Snoop, man.
Well, also he's like not evil. Like he's been he just
just been wrong.
He's been wronged, and which I think is a.
It does sound like there's some argument between the director and the studio and like a re-edit of it, but I mean, there's no editing that was gonna like make this a classier movie. I don't think that the direction is fucking weird in my opinion, but I could definitely see where there's a conflict between wanting Snoop to be a monster, like to be the Freddy Krueger of this, which it's not in the script,
right? And
then him being wronged, which is very clear in the script. Like, it's so that it's almost weird when he hurts people that aren't directly against him.
Yeah, because he doesn't have a personal vendetta against them, and he has like,
and he does have a personal vendetta against like a half dozen people.
And man, he has like just powers out of nowhere. I don't know what his deal is. And then like also this place was built on a not an Indian burial ground, but like what was it? Fucking projects points,
something like that. Yeah.
I forget, but like also like there's a whole supernatural element that just comes in for the third act, so we have a pit of bodies,
right,
that writhe or whatever. Also had a great, I don't want to say great, but like fully failed multiple stunts with a dog actor, because they try and make the dog actor look the dog.
They're black dog evil with red eyes, but he's the goodest boy.
Because they try and make his eyes red, and yet like. Dude, like, but I see the dog. He is smiling. He's having a great time.
There's a couple times they have to run the footage backwards.
They have to run the footage backwards to get the snarl more. Like,
he's the goodest boy.
Like, it doesn't matter that his eyes are red.
Right.
Like, he's still.
The only time he's truly scary is when they CG morph Snoop's face onto the front of him.
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
That was weird.
Well, I mean, I guess Snoop is the dog.
Kind of.
That's the idea.
Which is again, Snoop's the goodest.
Because it's Snoop Dogg.
Right.
So, I guess
No, in the castle, he's got like whatever fucking base powers he needs.
I do like that the movie starts with the dog killing somebody, and then like the whole neighborhood like sees them taking the dog and like, hey, what are you doing with that dog? Like he says some guy, random guy with a gun in the window. Like, I'm just taking him. No, mind your own fucking business. Like, man, you should shoot that dog. Yeah, okay, I'll get right on that. Like they are not phased by a bunch of weird people
No.
that have like, I guess they have a strong opinion about dogs around here. I don't know, maybe they don't like pets.
See, also watched the first episode of Happy's Place over on Peacock, which is the new Reba McEntire sitcom that reunites her with some of her co-stars from Reba.
Okay.
It is a live studio audience laughing. There's an applause sign somewhere, I guarantee it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Man, if I thought we were kind of done with that, but then again, we did that.
We'll never die.
What was the bowling one that made me want to like?
Oh my god!
Seriously,
How We Roll.
Eat a bullet.
How We Roll with Pete Holmes. Yeah, this is. I like this better than that because I like Reba better than Pete Holmes. But man, it's not good. It rushes through so much plot so fast in the first episode. It's ridiculous. She runs a bar. We'll see. Or we won't. I have no idea if this is going to do well or not.
I don't know.
Also, of course, watched The Return of Ghosts, which continues to be cute. They ended last season with somebody getting dragged out into the dirt by a aforementioned, like unmentioned ghost.
Yeah,
previously unmentioned ghost.
That was totally existed in the previous seasons. Like we just never mentioned her.
Right. Well, and this one actually they've done this a few times. This one actually makes sense because it's a shameful story.
It's a the retcon is impressive.
We spent a few episodes last season thinking that one ghost was trapped in a well, or one ghost had moved on. It turns out she was just trapped in a well. And it turns out that's a problem because no one understands how the rules work. Ground is solid, but walls aren't, right? So you can be trapped in a well, you can't climb out.
Man, when does a ramp become
right.
a wall?
No, there's weird problems here.
What's the angle?
Like I would
There's
be
a
doing
cutoff
tests.
angle.
I would be doing
right?
tests.
Right? There has to be a cutoff
there
angle.
is a basement to the house, so you can walk directly from the well to the house if you know where you're going, but it's impossible to do that through the dirt.
Right, because you're going to
get lost. And so they'd all joined hands and just journeyed out, and they spent a long time when they eventually found the house.
Yeah, but unfortunately
Isaac sneezed and let go of Patience's hand and lost her in the dirt.
Yeah.
And she's been there since. Like for a century.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, she pulls him back. And so they deal with Patience in the first episode back, and it's pretty fun. She's insane now. Patience. Like she just keeps saying her name. Patience.
Well, Supernatural sitcoms coming back. We also watched the latest episodes of What We Do in the Shadows.
Yes.
Honestly, the last season, and I'm glad actually that we're wrapping that one up. Like the opposite of Lower Decks. I want more Lower Decks and definitely end What We Do in the Shadows.
Well, What We Do in the Shadows is only getting to pull like from its own lore, like itself. Like, like I know it's what all can you do with vampires or whatever, but like it's run on. Lower Decks has a seemingly infinite amount and constantly more being generated amount of Star Trek to simultaneously revere and piss take. Right.
And meanwhile, What We Do in the Shadows is like finally we're talking about the Vampire Council again. And there's the
Jerry.
And then there's the whole remember Jerry or whatever?
Speaking of characters that
retcon oh yeah, sure, Jerry always
whatever
existed.
Happened to Jerry? Oh shit.
Fuck. And Guillermo being his own man now is pretty cool.
Right.
But dealing with the Vampire Council, which like the last season I was like, man, I think we like forgot about that for a whole season.
Well, because I love that they became it.
Which is funny because they don't.
And they didn't want to do it. And they didn't want to do it. Stopped. Like the guy's just been sitting there like going into work every day doing nothing.
But also like, yeah, it didn't, it's like a plot line that like doesn't go anywhere because the characters are lazy and don't commit to anything. Also, Laszlo's Frankenstein obsession is basically like, oh, it's like when he built his car, only it's going to be a human.
Right. It's like Frankenstein. Who? Never.
I'm unfamiliar with that particular name. It's not a hand job machine. Why would I make one of those when I have a perfectly good one? Keep the good work up, Randall.
Fucking raccoon.
That raccoon is cracking. It is definitely still very funny, but I will not be sad to see what we can do in the shadows wrap up. I feel like it.
Yeah.
I think,
I will be sad to see Lower Decks go.
I think Taika Waititi and Matt Berry and what's the actor that plays Guillermo? Like, I think freeing them up to do other stuff will be good for media.
Right.
Because they are really talented and they don't show up enough in other places. Because they have this on their schedule, I think.
And then I think the last thing I watched was probably 4 episodes of the new season of Lincoln, 3 or 4 episodes of the new season of Lincoln Lawyer.
That's right.
Which I'm so glad that show's back. It's just as fun as the previous seasons. New case, both, bullshit he has to deal with episode to episode, but new big season arcing case.
Mm-hmm.
The show is a blast. I really like all of the supporting characters. I think are what make the show, like his investigators and assistants and shit. It's got a new driver this season, who's pretty fun and different interaction. And then this season, the big case is probably my favorite previous side character. Was this prostitute Glory Days that he would get information from, but it was always a very grudging, like, pay me, motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
And he ends up really liking her and helping her. And her exit from the show was her going to Hawaii. Like, I've got to get out of the continental United States because I've definitely ratted on somebody or I'm in danger. And this season opens up with them finding her body and her murder, investigating her murder. Because it turns out she never went to Hawaii. She just changed her name, moved across town, and went right back to her bullshit.
Man, 2024, the year of fucking retcon.
Right. And it was just it's a hilarious, like, she did what? She died in Van Nuys? Fuck. Sure. Okay, sure, that tracks. And so yeah, this season is like taking my favorite previous season character who was gone off the show, and she was gone off the show regardless, and making her the centerpiece of the season is really enjoyable in a kind of a cool way. I think that's probably about all I've watched.
I suppose we should mention Agatha All Along, considering it was the best episode.
Oh my god, I almost forgot. It was the best episode of the show. It actually retroactively makes, talking about season of retcons, it makes the rest of the show already happen better.
Patty LaPone perspective episode, and because she experiences time non-linearly, the episode is non-linear in a way that's actually pretty interesting.
Right. It fills in what you didn't quite realize were holes in previous episodes.
Right.
It was just her saying non sequitur things because that was her character. Only now you know what they are, and it all fits, and it walks you through how they all fit. And then also, it is the episode that, spoiler alert for Agatha All Along, deals with who exactly Aubrey Plaza is.
Right. Which is actually a great fucking drop at that point.
Great reveal. I was impressed as fuck with that. Mephisto, obviously.
What can I say? I like the bad boys.
Yeah. She's not Mephisto.
Man, you want straight answers? Ask a straight girl.
Oh, god damn it. What a great line. This was by a mile the best episode of Agatha All Along so far.
Yeah.
This was good enough to be worth sitting, like, watching the rest. If you're only like ho-hum on it, I would put up with the rest to get through here. And if you don't like what this does for the show, bail.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I think you will.
Yeah, I still don't know how they're gonna wrap up everything, and how, like, because man, Agatha has not been the central focus for her own show for a while.
No,
for a minute. Like last episode, it was fucking teen. This episode, it was
Patty LaPone. It's
whatever
still
her
teen.
name, her character's name is
Lilia,
something Sicilian.
Lilia, I think.
Lilia. But yeah, so I'm figuring that the last episode is probably going to be her big, having to deal with Aubrey Plaza probably.
I think there might be. Is there one more or 2 more?
I think it's one more because they want to end on Halloween, right?
I would think.
You'd think, Also, good on Disney, by the way, of like this was their dress up episode. Like,
it ties into Wicked pretty heavily.
Yeah, and everyone could different Disney things, like Teen being Maleficent was
right.
Just,
that was great.
Like, I like the girl. Well, if the cheekbones fit.
And of course, Catherine Hahn is the Green Witch from Wicked Witch of the West from.
They stole this look from me. spot a whole story inspired by me.
There's a double episode. That's what it is.
Oh, okay.
Next week's 2 episodes.
So that's how they're cheating it. Got it.
I was like, I know there's 9, but how does it end next week?
Mhm.
2 episodes less.
Yeah, it's too tempting to not end on Halloween, man. Like that.
Right. No, you just can't.
Yeah, you gotta hit it.
Though, man, if her finale was a Thanksgiving episode,
Man,
just a middle finger to everybody.
well, man, you have a talking about WandaVision, like put your weird episode not instead of the front, put it at the back end, like a ancillary
Right.
epilogue at the back end, and it's Thanksgiving. That'd be hilarious. I think Agatha all along has paid some dividends. I won't say like I don't think any of the Disney shows are truly bad.
No, this has been very fun.
Like I won't rewatch some of them. Like I don't think I'm ever gonna rewatch Echo, but I'm depending on how this ends, I might every Halloween or so throw
An episode of the couple episodes.
at least
of
to
this.
throw an episode
Yeah.
or two on.
And this week's episode makes rewatching the previous ones, I think, sweeter in a way that few shows can pull off.
Which reminds me, it's almost time to watch Werewolf by Night again.
Indeed. Not in color, black and white.
I think that's a good spot to.
Yeah, now feels like a
Wrap it
good
up.
time to mention if you haven't joined us over on patreon.com/tvdudes. You can throw down $1 an episode, get bonus content each week. This week, we're going to go back to the movies and discuss Venom: The Last Dance.
Yes, we will. The lethal podcasters.
Fucking dumb 80s nickname.
I also, I think our show next week is another podcast, or another showrunner choice.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, John Paul has chosen the Apple TV show El Defo.
El what?
El Defo. Do you not hear me?
No, I
El Defo.
okay. You don't have to shout.
I've not seen any of it. That is just a horrendously titled show. He and I talked about that a little bit on chatting of like, okay, man.
You do realize, yeah, the title's the problem.
I know. I assume the show deals with it. We'll see.
Yeah, but what are we talking about this week?
Well, we're going to talk about something important, Nick. Something that affects the very soul of our community.
Think of the children. It's Hysteria on Peacock.
Chief, we found something.
For tonight's top story, we go to Happy Hollow, where police are searching for clues as to the whereabouts of high school student Ryan Hudson.
Sweetie, do you know that boy?
Yeah, he's in my English class.
The cryptic message left behind has people asking, do you believe in the devil?
You guys heard about Ryan, right?
Yeah?
Well, him being missing for one day has gotten more attention than me being present my entire life.
So you're jealous of a missing person?
It's rock tradition. The devil has always had the best tunes.
People are scared. You want to exploit that?
We are a heavy metal band. Let's be Satanists.
What if Dylan fell into something and we just didn't notice?
Witness pure evil? Seriously?
I mean, it filled the room, didn't it?
Hysteria is an American horror thriller television series created by Matthew Scott Kane. All 8 episodes dropped on October 18th. It is set in the Satanic Panic era of the 1980s, an era I grew up with, once getting sent home from a slumber party I was at for bringing the Red Box D&D set. Good times. In the show, a beloved varsity quarterback.
That is a quintessential less story of like you're the bad boy of that
I
story
was.
because of how nerdy
Yes.
you were compared to your other friends.
Kids, let's break out graph paper and dice. Evil!
You know, math is
They
the
rolled-
devil's mistress.
Roll dice for Jesus' clothes, Nick. Oh my God.
Leave room for Jesus' death save. He always makes those.
He does. It's nepotism.
Bitch has advantage. I mean, what do you expect? A bitch has advantage. Just like every time, like fucking heroic inspiration.
Featherfall going. We got a lot of stuff happening here. We got in the show, we got a beloved varsity quarterback's disappearance that causes whispers of occult activity and satanic influence throughout a town. Dylan Campbell, Jordy, and Spud, a trio of outcasts and a struggling heavy metal band called Death Crunch. With
His
a K.
name is Spud?
Yep, that's what they call him through the whole show.
Man, I would know. I would remember if it was that dumb.
Death Crunch decides to capitalize on the town's sudden interest in the occult by rebranding themselves as a satanic metal band, which leads to them becoming the targets of the town's witch hunt. Man, that barely touches on like the amount of plots going on in this show.
Honestly, that's basically Ep 1, and then things have to kind of sprawl out from there.
Julie Bowen is the main kid's mom, Linda Campbell. Bruce Campbell is the town cop, Ben Dandridge. Anna Camp is the craziest Jesus mom. Garrett Dillahunt as the Reverend. And then Allison Scagliotti from Warehouse 13 is one of the deputy cops.
Sure. She doesn't get a lot to do, but, she's there.
It's always fun to see her. This was, in my opinion, Bruce Campbell's show. He stole this fucking thing.
So here's my main theory of TV shows going forward, especially even horror themed ones like this that are a little more on the genre kind of cheesy side.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best strategy to go forward is to get your main 3 young teen actors, actually hire young actors that look like teens, like get as close to that as possible. Doesn't matter if they're, find good actors.
These kids were good. Yeah.
But also, like, they're still learning. They don't have to be,
No, you don't have to find the new Finn Wolfhard or whatever.
Like,
yeah.
right. Speaking of D&D. But in order to back them up and honestly give these kids a crash course in genre acting, fucking stack that cast with consummate just professionals.
Dude, Bowen kills it. Anna Camp kills it.
Bowen, Camp, and Campbell are like all 3 of them should take one of those young kid actors under their wings during this production and just teach them shit.
Right.
Because they're all in their level of, especially Campbell and Camp. This is not their first rodeo in this type of show.
I assume all 3 of those people work exactly as often as they want to.
Oh yeah,
in basically the projects they want.
Like Anna Camp should take one of those kids aside and go like, "Here, let me teach you how to play the religious freak. I could do this in my sleep." Here,
right.
Like watch me do this backwards. I got this.
Right.
I think that like helps with the energy of the show, and I think that helps with the
everything Brad Dourif can do backwards and in heels.
Right. But I think the kids are good enough, but when you also have the double whammy of the parents and sheriff and them putting their fears on the kids and representing how much trouble the kids are by these veteran actors really hitting it.
Yeah.
So you get to hit 2 plots or 2 emotional beats at once. So you got basically backup from your veteran cast. And I think that was a very smart way for this show to structure itself.
Yeah. The other thing that the show does structurally that I love is something that's kind of hard to pull off. I love it when it's difficult for characters on the ground to figure out what's going on because there are multiple bad actors. I mean, not bad actors, but like there are multiple people doing schemes in the movie.
Right.
Or in the show. Because you've got Garrett Dillahunt and Anna Camp and all the Christian, you've got what their bullshit is.
And that Man,
and that's one thing. And then you've got the band, which is genuinely just trying to get some fans by capitalizing on hysteria, and that's just tried and true capitalism. And then you've got the girl, Judith, that the main kid from the band wants to just date and is his dream girl, and she's insane. She's genuinely wants to start a cheesy ass Aleister Crowley Necronomicon fake fucking cult.
Man, I know you're like fucking dick smitten with her, but
oh
like,
my lord,
the killing, letting you kill a cat thing was not the like.
Nope. In the first episode, first episode, he almost kills a cat for her, and I was going to turn the show off if he had. Yeah,
she literally has to bury his ass alive for him to get it.
Right. Well, because like several episodes later, he's starting to wise up a little bit, and he asked her, "Babe, would you have let me kill that cat?" And she looks at him and goes, "What cat?" And I love this because you know what cat.
You know what cat.
Her answer back of, "Babe, of course I would. I support you." I'm like, Holy dude, you got to get away from her, man. Just
Like, those are
seriously.
two bad answers back to back.
Right.
Like, one trying to just gaslight you, like, what can...
So episode to episode, man, I loved all the various
Well, I mean-
factions acting, and I even when it would have slowed down in episodes, 10 episodes, in 4 or 5, when it would have slowed down for me, I pushed through because I was like, no, Julie Bowen's character got pulled up the stairs by her feet and
'Cause we didn't
raised
even
up
mention
off the ground, and
her
like
possession thing is a totally separate
it feels
thing
fucking
happening.
real. People are seeing a demon, and it's an amazing demon costume design, and they're seeing the same demon, or we're seeing a demon as the audience.
Mhm.
So that I put my mind at ease early on of like, no, there are human people doing stuff, but also something's real in this town.
Right.
At the end of the show, my biggest, like, I probably won't rewatch this, even though it was a blast, problem with it is that if I'm understanding correctly, it's not real at the end.
So, and we had a big discussion about this after I finished it, and I think I'm going to disagree with you slightly here, but it's hard to say for sure, because I don't, like, my big thing is that you think, like, oh, the show is trying to make it seem like they're like all of it was
It's called
fake.
Hysteria.
Right. And
I think they're playing cute on, like, are you as the audience thinking something's real now because
Right.
you thought too much about Satan stuff?
Absolutely. And I think they are trying to play both sides of the fence and are intentionally not confirming it, and are doing a bad job of that, because it comes down on one side more than the other, which is the non-real side, because there's just more evidence on that side, or more story emphasis on that side by the end, even though the evidence kind of pulls up against it. I think, how did I put it before? It was strange to where the Satanism, like the devil possession thing, is not real in the story, but it is real in the plot. Like, in the moment-to-moment events of the things that happen in this show, like the actual events and sequence of events, she gets pulled up those stairs. She speaks a demon language. There's just points where,
There's
like,
stuff that we're just shown as an audience.
there's just stuff where the possession is just straight up real.
Right, we watch it happen.
But in the story later,
It's all retconned to have just been in her head or in people's heads.
and because, like you said, the show's called Hysteria, and that's supposed to be the point
I think
of the
that's
show.
the, like, ha.
So I think they're going off of it feels right because that's what the message of the show should be.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but you didn't do the work to you need you either did not have as much fun during the beginning of it, or you need to show a flashback
where it's not,
where it's
happening
definitively,
differently.
you got to show all those events where they're completely different.
Right. I wanted one of the two, because, like, they overplayed their hand by showing it be real, because I saw it as an audience member. I was shown the stunt of it.
Right.
And so you either need to, if this is really happening and they're just telling me a story and it's not a filmed piece of entertainment and I can't go back and check the tape, then your story can work in a, like, did you see what you thought you saw? Like, well, no, I can go check.
Yeah.
So what I always want in that case instead is a moment where, mom still talks about that week, and cut back to the same scene but different, of her just like, honey, wake up, like, drink some water. What is wrong with you? Blah, 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 blah. Like you said, I can concede that maybe the show isn't outright saying it's not real, but they're playing coy in a way that,
and I think
is always going to bother me no matter how well done it is.
And I don't think it's particularly well done.
No.
I think that their both sidesing isn't effective because you perceive it as the not real side.
Right.
Which is, if I'm getting the message of the show right, not what they're trying to portray, which means that they're fucking up.
Right. Because, like, one way or the other, you showed me it be real, and now you feel like you're saying it's not, and then the credits rolled, and
which is like a distinctive
and I
distinction without a difference.
I held back all this for part of the discussion because I enjoyed so much of the show. I binged it in a day. Like we sat down early enough on Saturday and started it, and then we're like, well, fuck it, this is our day.
Well, it's really fun. Bruce Campbell.
Oh my lord,
is the put upon like sheriff of this small town.
Every
His
time
deputy's a
anybody's like,
dumbass.
it's definitely Satanism, and he's like, Jesus Christ,
It is not
Sharon,
Satan.
hold on.
I may not know what it is, but I definitely know it's not that.
How they pick the kid up, riding his bike around at night, and like after he's carved a fucking pentagram into his hand, and like Bruce Campbell's whole interview with him of like, my deputy is, and I think I can be honest with you here, an idiot.
So I'm gonna take you home, and we're gonna like keep this under wraps. And he like just doesn't even mention the arrest because he knows that'll. He's trying to avoid the hysteria of this mob mentality, and I like him being like knowing what's going on with the band from Jump Street,
right?
And knowing that the band is not like, no, the band is not where this is happening, but everyone's gonna like, but also knowing that the band is trying to capitalize it, and him going, hey, stop that. Eventually, it's gonna get to a point where I can't help you on this, and I'm trying to like help you right now.
Yeah, man, when Campbell first sits down, he's like, yeah, we've got a metal band. Oh, like Zeppelin metal, like Sabbath metal. It was actually more like Maiden or Priest. Oh, okay. And like, yeah, kid, I'm not.
Well, yeah, Campbell is cool.
Yeah, it's great. He gives me big Hopper vibes from fucking Stranger Things.
Like, he's not one of those cops that gets off on fucking with you. He just doesn't like.
Right.
He doesn't
like,
want to
leave.
leave.
Dumb. Oh my god, I gotta hold this town together. Everybody's crazy.
And I like him going around and trying to stop this. It's almost like and they kind of show it in a physical rash sense. It's a virus. Like the idea of the Satanism is spreading throughout this town, and it's hard to once it starts. It's hard to stop.
Right.
It's hard
and
to
like
put it.
Even Campbell, he's catching it from both sides. He's got the feds sending this stupid booklet of Satan shit to look for.
Yeah.
And it's just all ridiculous.
And when it's revealed later that even the actual murder that took place wasn't an actual murder. It was an accident. It was actually like
the kid died of asthma.
Like
an asthma attack.
And the whole Satanist thing was a cover up for this to protect the kidnapping things.
Right.
We watched a whole documentary on
like a troubled teen bullshit.
Like a troubled teen shitty thing.
And when I realized what was happening, it was like,
holy shit, I just watched this whole thing.
Like, this is all real, my god.
Yeah.
And this is the bigger problem than Satanism.
Right.
like every time you think it's Satanist, it's just a fucking troubled teen camp.
I feel like that writers of Hysteria definitely watched those same.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the shit that made the show so fun. I just think they made a horribly misguided choice in how they landed this thing.
Well, also, I mean,
and I realized kind of partway through where I thought they were probably going with it, just based on the title and what the joke of the show was going to be.
Well, also, there's certain things that also don't come through on it because I like the kids. I like Spud, I guess is his name.
Speaking of the kids, after he has his interview with Bruce Campbell, that's not an arrest, and his friends are like, "So you were arrested last night?" No, it was an interview. Cool. So they read you your rights? Yeah.
Were you allowed to leave?
Were you allowed to leave? No. You were arrested.
Man, you were arrested.
No, man. They said it was an interview.
No, man. I've heard people get arrested before. That sounds like
an arrest, man. Could you leave? No? You were under arrest.
But, and they're constant, like, don't say you're doing this for the band. You're obviously doing it to hook up with that chick, man. Like, you do. And the, band geeks or whatever that are like or helping them out, like, and
right. They want to pad the ranks of their cult.
We put like the theater kids. That's what it was. We put together this clique of people. Like,
the
don't
Glee
you want to?
Club and the theater kids.
And I'm like, no, man. You put together a bunch of people to worship Satan. Like, that's not a good thing. Like, that's weird.
It's weird, man.
And but also the girl, is she in love with our main guy or the girl, her old bestie?
I thought it was her old bestie.
But she's in love with one of them.
Somebody.
Right? Because there's certain scenes where it seems like she's kind of jealous of his relationship with the new girl, but then that kind of gets dropped, and I'm like, oh, maybe I misread that.
And I really enjoyed that the series does not focus, so I really want it to be her and the girl, because I was enjoying that their band doesn't have a love triangle breakup thing.
But also they don't pull the trigger on either of them. Even though I feel like some of those scenes previously, I feel like this show had some rewrites in it, and some of that made it to shooting without like a, because some of these, like, they're showing a close-up of her reaction shot when he's talking about the girl.
She feels jealous,
and if the intention of the shot feels to
I would think it would be jealous, except they go nowhere with that.
But they don't do anything. Like, so I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that was a leftover of a previous script then, because we don't really do anything. And then we do the best friend, and she has a religious mom, and I'm like, oh, maybe. And they're like, oh, she doesn't let you hang out with her anymore. I'm like, ooh, maybe that something happened between them, and like, oh God,
Right.
God hates queers or whatever storyline is going to come down the pipe here. And no, that doesn't happen either.
No, they don't do that at all. Yeah.
And I mean, Anna Camp as the repressive mom, I was like, oh, if we're not going to do that, like, why are we here? But it's so Anna Camp can play her True Blood psycho fucking churchgoer again.
She's exceptional at that, though.
I know, like it's one of those, like, you put on that suit every once in a while.
So the girl that's best friends with the goat,
right? Yeah,
that ends up being like friends with Cliff.
Yeah.
So that actress, I think, is the girl from Hereditary.
Really? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And she's besties with that fucking goat. I was so worried for that goat after the cat. I seriously, when they brought that goat, I was like, no, you can't go to the weirdest girl in school for the first time that anybody's ever made friends with her, ask her to come to a party, bring her goat, and then kill that goat. You can't do that. Like, I don't care what Satan wants.
Man, I know you want to get laid, but like to have sex in front of like 9 people,
man,
over a satanic...
when he keeps going, and it's her idea. Like, you started this cult, and your bassist and lead singer looked up all the Latin in the library. So what Judith's chanting at you now, trying to fuck her in the basement of the school or whatever, on a pentagram with half the school circled around you in the, no pun intended, climax of this series. Where did all that Latin come from? Judith is on her own here, man. I did love where it goes with the kids in the cult slowly figuring out that being in a cult sucks.
Yeah.
When they're all like, so I really thought Judith wanted to hang out, and it turns out she just wanted me to dig this hole, or grave, I guess. Anyway, does being in a cult suck? Because I'm not having fun.
Well, even the jock bully was kind of a nuanced character for a minute.
Right, Cliff he's still terrible, but I kind of like him.
He makes a turn at the end where, like, but also at the end he's like, when shit gets wrong and Judith wants to like fucking kill their rat that ratted them out to the cops, and even then the bully is like, whoa, okay, yeah, we're not doing that, all right, like. The premise of the show delivers, like the band trying to capitalize on that, and that going to like wrong, like that's all good.
It's actually not bad either,
right? And honestly, I would watch a season 2 of this because they kind of tease it, which, with the demon peeking on the thing, which is why I think they're trying to. The general idea is supposed to be.
I want it all
ambiguous.
to be real. I always want it to be real.
Hey, right there with you. Right there with you. I'm not disagreeing on that. Also, 3 separate people see the same fucking demon. Anna Camp, Young, and
also
Bowen.
It looks so good.
And Campbell, like, who is not suffering from the hysteria until he is, I guess.
Yeah. Until he reads enough government stuff. And
they're not seeing Satan. They name check the devil as a different fucking demon that no one should know the name of.
Right. Like it has to be real. I want it to be real.
Although I love Nolan North as the dad. He's giving some of that. What'd you call it? What's his name? Dad from Stranger Things.
He's not quite as like purely out of it as that dad. But I love that, like, he and Bowen are obviously the homecoming king and queen parents.
Oh, absolutely.
And they have the nerdy,
alternative.
Yeah,
like, stays in his basement,
guitar 12 hours a day in his basement.
Yeah.
Metalhead son, and like that just cracks me up. Of like the Bill Murray and Rushmore problem of like nope, I had my bully, or my kids are terrible. I hate them. I would have hated them in high school. And like, because they just don't know how to relate. They're like, well, I'd like him to go out and get friends. When they first bring up the cult, and the dad has basically a Project X reaction of like, our son, I mean, seriously, honey, I don't think you could do it.
Well,
like the dad just like, does he know enough people to be in a cult?
I don't think he's got the social,
Like I don't think.
capital to get
Oh no,
this
no,
done.
you're still in trouble, son. But I didn't think you had it in you.
Yeah, and man, their metal music that they play during the whole thing is great. Their their metal knowledge seems to be
Yeah.
up par. It's not really my fault, but I do like that. What was it like? Oh, okay, come on, name one hit that the Black Sabbath made after Ozzy left. Or name two, like easy. Lick It Up. Hey man, fuck you.
Yes.
Which I'm like, man, I don't even know anything about music,
Yep.
but that sounds funny to
Yep.
me.
Name a good album. Kissed It after they took the makeup off. No, name two.
Yeah. Name two, because they always seem to be able to name one.
Right.
Fuck. Like, all right, touche. You have defeated me this round, sir. And I like that. Obviously, this band is not as he wants it for social capital, and like the other two are no. This is our excuse to hang out. If we didn't have instruments, we'd be doing another thing. But the idea is for us to do it.
Yeah, I think when
together.
When the bassist explains it, of like, no, I
don't care about
no
the band.
friends for years, no one. It was so hard, and then I found these two idiots, and now I have two friends, and it's not as hard. And
Right.
like, full stop. I don't care what we do, but I needed at least one person.
Yeah, as long as we're doing it,
Right, I'll
all
survive.
three of us.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter, and I really liked that.
that always resonates for me.
Yeah,
And
that's
for-
and also that's a great message for. And honestly, this is not a bad, not for young kids, but this is a fun, spooky show for younger teens.
Absolutely. Lisa said it felt like for her what Goosebumps tried to do, but slightly better. She
Yeah.
liked this better than Goosebumps.
Like upgrade your kids to this after they're a little too old for
Right.
Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Right. I liked this better than what Fear Street tried to do.
Oh yeah. Oh man, fuck Fear Street in the ass.
Compared to this, I thought this was really fun.
No.
I would, for all my issues with it, like, is it real or is it not real? I would highly recommend people watch it. It's super fun.
Right. And a season 2 might fix that of like really doubling down on the
Very
it's
well
real.
Very well might. And, not just for this, but here shortly, I'll just be looking forward to next Halloween with the rest of us to see what we get. Maybe we'll get more Chucky then.
Oh no, man, you gotta give up on that.
It's probably going to be years. That thing's never dead, though, man. There's a doll somewhere he's possessing.
Right.
And he can't play it cool for long.
Right. But he can play it cool for a minute. You gotta wait.
Well, that about wraps it up for us this week. Tune in next week. We're going to discuss John Paul's showrunner Patreon pick, the 3-episode Apple TV series El Death'o.
Yeah.
And until next time,
dude, it's out.
I think there's something evil here.
The greatest trick the devil played was convincing the world that he didn't exist.
Evil has taken over this town. Just because you can't see something doesn't mean it isn't there.
Is there any chance that some of the phrases we're using were authentic satanic verses?
We got them from the public library, not a book bound in human flesh.